obviously, in light of tomorrow's match. Today, we will have comments from our head table guests, Mr. Peter Montopoli, the General Secretary for Canada Soccer, and John Herdman, the men's national team head coach and program director. That will be followed by a short Q&A session with a focus on the topics that we're going to discuss today at the table. And we will also have one-on-one opportunities with both Peter and John following. So, to begin, we'll hear from Peter with an update on this exciting and important time in Canadian soccer.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Sandra, and thank you to everyone for joining us. I'd like to pay special attention to some people in attendance. Nick Bontis, our Vice President for Canada Soccer, for the work that he does. Bob Richardson, Director for Canada Soccer, and the great work he's done in regards to our United bid. Ron Smale. Ron, nice to see you once again this week. Saw you last week in Hamilton at our other announcement, so thank you once again for leading the charge in Ontario soccer. As well, it's always an honor to have Dick Howard here, Canada Soccer Hall of Fame member. Thank you, Dick, for joining us. And always a pleasure to have various members of our Canada Soccer staff in attendance. A great and hardworking staff. As well, I'd like to congratulate TFC on the work that they've done so far in 2017 and in 2018, and especially Larry Tannenbaum and Bill Manning leading the charge here for TFC, and more importantly for the United bid with us, as well as Mayor Tory, who's been very supportive of the United bid and incredibly supportive of what we're trying to achieve for soccer in our country. And it's always a pleasure to support him in the city of Toronto. As well, I would be remiss if I didn't congratulate the Canadian Olympic Committee, our partners in the Olympic family, and own the podium for their record-breaking success in the Winter Olympics. The gentleman to my left, and for you, all of you know, 2 bronze medals for Canada, and we are part of the Olympic family. We did some things that hadn't been done in over 100 years, and we look forward to going back in 2020 in Tokyo. So congratulations, Canadian Olympic Committee. I want to touch on the United bid first. The last time we were here was early December as part of the MLS Cup. So as an update, we still are working very, very hard on our bid, which is submitted March 16th with our friends and colleagues from U.S. Soccer and the Mexican Football Federation. Our bid is founded on unity between the 3 countries, certainty from an organizational and economic perspective, and unparalleled opportunity for us, for FIFA, and for the world. We're working with the mayors in the city of Vancouver, the city of Edmonton, of course, as I mentioned, the city of Toronto, and the city of Montreal. We're working with the federal government, and we're optimistic that our bid will be a successful bid as we put it in March 16th, and it's voted upon at the FIFA Congress the day before the opening match of the Men's World Cup, which is June 13th. We released an economic impact recently, as a few weeks ago. The economic impact is $5 billion, including support for 40,000 jobs and more than $1 billion in incremental worker earnings across North America. So as you see, it's very substantial and very noteworthy for us to be part of the bid. I said it in early December. Canada Soccer's hosted every FIFA competition there is, men's, women's, youth, senior, except the Men's World Cup, so it's our turn. And when I say our turn, I look at all of you, it's our turn. It's not John's turn, my turn, Sandra's turn, it's your turn. It's for all of us in our country to be part of something very special for 2026. So we're working very hard with our colleagues in Mexico and the United States to bring this about for our great country. So that's a quick update on where we are from a United bid, but it's a very important time in our country for Canada Soccer, soccer in our country. I just mentioned the bid. We're very excited in 2019 for Canadian Premier League, CPL, to embark on a great journey for us, but we're equally excited for a new era in men's soccer with John Herdman leading the charge. Our goal is to develop the sport through an aligned system that provides consistent international performances for our country, We proved that we can do that. We did that on the women's side, back-to-back medalists. We have a fully aligned system. Took John 6 years to do it, maybe quicker than when you first came to the country. And that's a credit to John and the people that he's brought on board. For the men's game, it's even more pressing. Today we learned through CONCACAF, there's a new journey for the Gold Cup. And there'll be new news coming from CONCACAF as early as next week on the structure of play and the competition schedule. And I really wish to applaud the CONCACAF president, Victor Montagliani, who's done a tremendous job in a very short period of time in changing the whole competition structure at CONCACAF. But as CONCACAF's changing the structure, FIFA will be changing the structure too. So it really was time for us, based on all these pieces that I've just mentioned, whether it be CPL, United Bid, competition structures, that we have a fully aligned system top to bottom on the men's side. But we're also looking at it to be across, and across meaning to the women's side, where there's shared resources. We might be the first and maybe the only country or FIFA member association globally to have that opportunity and that ability. We have John Herdman, system builder, international proven track record as a coach, and it's his time to lead our country now on the men's side and this men's journey for soccer in our country. Those are my short words, but you're going to learn shortly the work, extensive work John has done in just 30 plus days of him getting ingrained into the men's game and the effort that he's put through. I know I have a tremendous amount of presentations that I still need to go through that John has provided. And it just shows you, I mean, I've been here for a little while, and I've never seen anybody work harder than John Herdman. We are in good hands as we lead the program forward. So I turn it over to Sandra and then to John.
So thank you, Peter, for the update and the sharing the overall direction of the program. So we'll now have a chance to hear from John on his first 30 days in the job leading the program.
Yeah, well, it's been an amazing 30 days. You can see a bit more grey hair, and I'm shrinking down to 5'4", I think. But I would say, you know, looking at this role, I've been privileged to wear that maple leaf above my heart for 6 years. In the women's side, had some iconic moments that have stopped our country and had everyone looking at soccer. And the opportunity to do that on the men's side is the biggest motivation. Having spoken to many of the core players, there's real clarity in the group. There's a belief that they can do this, that they can stop our country and take it to a place it's not been to for over a quarter of a century. But there's also an understanding that it is a privilege, and we're all in this for a short period of time, which is the nature of sport. And I think this group of men recognize, and along with myself, that we'll get one chance to pick this shirt up, put it on, become great custodians, and then put it down better than we found it, similar to what we did on the women's side. So for this period of time, you know, this is, as a starting point, it's to understand the foundation that I currently stand on. It's been 30 days in the job, and a lot of meetings, a lot of phone calls, a lot of databases, a lot of presentations, but really trying to listen and really understand what that foundation is. And again, the most important people I've spoke to are the players. You know, that core group that, you know, they suggest they are a talented group. They believe that the talent is there. But what's been missing at times is a clear vision, clarity in vision, a strength of vision that binds them together in key moments. The high-performance systems and structures of the modern game that have been missing at times, such as sports science, mental performance training. And I guess one of the biggest elephants in the room has been, you know, addressed in some of our conversations in the players, is that on those big moments, they just haven't been able to deliver. And that the culture's been to point fingers. And I think that's ready to change. The group are very clear that under new leadership with new focus, that if they can see a plan they believe in, and that plan has to be written. It can't be something we speak about. It's something that's written, and then the actions speak louder than the words written on a page. That they'll commit and push the levels they've never gone to before. So in speaking to the group, and they're the most important people I've spoke to, it's very clear that they believe they can do this, and they're starting to see that, with the right plan in place, they'll deliver. I think underneath that, you're speaking to a whole raft of people within the game, and this moving towards this next 90 days and the next 4 years, the next 8 years of this job, this can't be a John Herdman plan. This isn't about, one man writing a plan and, trying to lead a charge. It's about the whole game aligning behind specific principles, the whole game recognizing that while you might be a fan of MLS teams like TFC or Montreal Impact, we all own Canada. It's our country. It's what we all stand for. It's what we can all get behind. And it's been very clear in the conversations that people are ready to do that. What they want is clarity in leadership and clarity in vision. And again, in the conversations we've had, what people are looking for is organizational excellence from a high-performance plan. They're looking for action, not just words. And, where I'll be looking to work is to build that infrastructure so that our words become actions. So again, over these periods of time that I've had, while it's been a learning curve to understand what this beast of the men's side looks like, it's not an insurmountable one, and it's certainly the challenge that I'm sure is getting these guys out of bed every day to bring this team to a World Cup, and certainly getting this group of people out of bed every day to have that moment where we all look at football and stop a country like we've done on the other side of the game. So I think in simple terms, I've said it, it's clarity and vision that I can see is going to make the biggest difference. A clear high-performance plan that's embracing modern high-performance methods that these men are absolutely craving. And underneath that, it's the right people. And a big step we've taken over this period of time is to examine the people that are in our system, to understand who those people are. And a big step that we've taken in the last week is to find the right people to surround this team. So an important announcement that will be made here today is, my first step in a transition phase for staffing is to appoint Mauro Biello as the men's national U23 Excel director, a strategic position which is about bringing the right players to the men's national team at the right time, while also supporting his men's national team assistant. So, I said this when I took the job on, it's about surrounding us with people with the right character, the right values to drive our game forward, the right work ethic, but more importantly, the people with the experiences that understand this Canadian landscape and can take this game to the next level. So it's been a big 30 days. I've got a list as long as my arm I could share with you on the many tasks, from a high-performance review from the provinces on the Excel strategy and what needs to change, an analysis in CONCACAF of our players, as well as, building those databases that have been long left defunct, and ensuring that we're clear on not only what's going to take us through to 2022, but, what creates that opportunity in 2026 to win when we have the World Cup here in Canada. So it's a hell of a job, but an unbelievable opportunity. And as I've said, it's the biggest privilege that I could be bestowed. And I can honestly say, speaking to some of those key players, they know how important this next 4 years is. And they know they've got an opportunity to become game changers and heroes for this country. And from what I've heard from them, and I'm hoping to see it in their actions, they're ready to go. They're in. What they want to see now is the belief from the people in this room, the people in our country, and a plan that can take them there.
Thank you. Thanks, John, for that exciting news, and to Peter for the insight to the changing landscape of the game. So for those media interested, we will be arranging an opportunity to speak with Mauro today at 4 o'clock, and we will have a release and call details arriving in your inbox very shortly, if not already. Okay. So what we would like to do now is open it up for questions from the floor. And If you would prefer to wait for one-on-ones, we can do that as well. So are there any questions from the floor? Yes.
Well, again, it was a seek to understand, and part of the questions that I've asked the group is, why? Why haven't we been there in a quarter of a century? What can you genuinely point towards as the rationales? And in speaking to the group, they recognize that there hasn't been that deliberate approach to mental performance, that while the group are able to talk about the hints and tips about how to perform on a big moment under pressure, there hasn't been the genuine strategized approach to build mental resilience within the group. And again, that isn't a hints and tips approach. That's a mental periodization plan. That's bringing in the appropriate resources at the right time. That's the group addressing that while they may physically and technically have the gifts to perform. The biggest variability is always going to be in the mental side. And this group, on the big occasions, haven't been able to deliver. And, with them addressing that, that's the starting point. In the first camp, they'll notice some shifts. They'll sense that the changes operationalized in a mind room. They'll see that, this isn't just talk. It's not just we're going to talk about, getting better mentally and being able to cope with those big moments. It's how it's inculcated into the whole culture, from the training ground to the opportunities we create in the actual environment. And I think it goes in line with what Peter's saying around the changes to the competition landscape. Coming September onwards, every match is going to have expectation, scrutiny, consequence. That's what this group are yearning. Gone are the days where we'll play meaningless friendlies. 42 matches in a 3.5-year period in CONCACAF. 90% of them in this part of the world. All going to have meaning. So this team have to be ready to be able to think clearly under pressure constantly. And that's not something you just turn up and do. That's something you have to train. And this will be one of the biggest shifts that this group will notice under my leadership. The women's program benefited from that. Experts as well as, genuine training that happens in and around the environment.
Thank you, Pierce Lang. I should have said to say your name and outlet. Apologies. Other questions from the floor? And we'll wait to one-on-ones. No problem. Oh, there you go.
Sorry, what was not working there? Yeah. It wasn't really a matter of Octavio in that regard. I think we kind of answered it, John did and I did today, in terms of what we were looking to do for the future. And it's that runway that we have, we believe, for the next 8 years. Granted that we were successful for the bid for 2026, which allows us an opportunity to have a fully aligned system. We saw CONCACAF and FIFA were coming on board with a different competition structure, and we had the leader in place to take us to 2026, and in a lot of ways we had countered that on the women's side when we bid for the Women's World Cup, and we put pieces and structures in place to be extremely successful. We started a new league. We're funding partners of a new league, and we're kind of doing the same thing all over again now on the men's side. And John was the perfect candidate based on his international success and his ability to build a system. So it's really about building a system for the future that the organization took that decision.
Thank you. So as a frame of reference, the first match for John as the head coach will be on March the 24th, which we've previously announced. It will be against New Zealand in Spain. Canada Soccer expects to have a stream of that match, and the roster will likely be the week of March the 12th, which we will be able to share. Okay. So with that, those questions answered, we will make both Peter and John available. Thanks again for coming today, and good luck to TFC tomorrow night. Thanks.
Thank you.
Probably here.
Yes, I think right here's fine.